Okay. Madam Chair, Madam President, let's go.
All right, we are live. Welcome, welcome, everyone. We are so grateful to have you here tonight. We have put together this voter education forum with the help of the wonderful Broward chapter of NAACP. So grateful to partner with you all on this. Laura Richardson is our civic engagement chair, and she's going to go ahead and take the lead and open us up, and we'll start out with some inspiration. So it's Laura.
Thank you, Madam President. At this point, we will have our opening prayer by our chaplain for the Broward Section National Council of Negro Women, Reverend Cherie Johnson Mojapello.
Thank you. All right, brothers and sisters, let us still ourselves for a moment of prayer or a quiet moment of silence. Let us pray. Most good and gracious God, we thank you for the time of gathering here on today. We pray, oh God, that you who are the beginning and the end, the author and the finisher of our faith, the one who is above all, would be with us in our time of gathering on this day. We ask, oh God, that you would meet us at every point of need, and that this time of education and learning will not only be efficacious for us, but we would use what we gather from here and be able to share with others so that others may be edified, that knowledge may grow, and that we may be able to make the decisions, oh Lord, that work in the best interest for community, for flourishing, for thriving, all the things, oh God, that you desire for people. Be with us on this day. This we ask in your most precious name, and all present say, amen.
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 Thank you, Reverend Johnson Mojapello. At this point, we would like to welcome you. So good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our voter education information kickoff. We are so glad to have you, that you've decided to join us to receive the valuable information that will be provided by our own Supervisor of Elections, Mr. Scott. The Fort Lauderdale Broward branch of the NAACP and the Broward County Section National Council of Negro Women have come together to make sure our community is aware of the new rules, new dates, and the election process, and how to make sure your vote is counted in the upcoming process. This evening, we will be provided with a wealth of information, so get your pen, paper, tablets, phones, however you capture your data, and I'm sure you will have some questions to submit during the Q&A period. At this time, please welcome our host, our awesome host and moderator, our NAACP President, Ms. Marsha Ellison.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm sorry, Madam Past President, but also one of certainly our supporters of the NAACP. Okay. Can you all hear me?
Yep.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, just making sure. We want to start with welcoming. We are so happy and so proud, and NAACP proud as well, to mention our Supervisor of Elections, who is, this is certainly an important test for his office, and I certainly believe he's up for the challenge. And so we are going to make sure that all of us information has been sent out to us, and then we will be ambassadors to spread the good word about what's happening in our office because of this, certainly this most important election that's coming up, and we know that our votes change lives. And so who we have here is our Supervisor of Elections, the Honorable Joe Scott. Supervisor Scott is a graduate of West Point and was awarded the Bronze Star as an Army captain and combat leader in Iraq. Mr. Scott is quoted as saying, "I successfully voted by mail when I was deployed to Iraq, and I'm thus acutely aware of the importance of having one's vote count here. No matter how far away an eligible voter may be, Mr. Scott is passionate about defeating the many threats our democracy faces. So many have fought and bled for our right to vote and have inspired me to follow in the their footsteps, tirelessly promoting and protecting our electoral college system from all threats. So says Mr. Scott. His MBA and 20 years of combined military and technology leadership experience gives him the unique skill sets required to unify different communities and stakeholders to improve the voting experience in Broward and to effectively build the team and capacities we need to ensure fair voting for all of us. Every staff member in the elections office is committed and skilled at ensuring voter security, voter education, and voter engagement. Technology is advancing faster than ever, and your election office team understands how to integrate new technologies without compromising security. In addition, our ballots and our messages will consistently reflect the diversity of knowledge and the culture that makes Broward County distinctive, so says Mr. Scott. Those are all important features. I'm so glad that it's being said. Mr. Scott encourages his staff to value community outreach and education for all voters so that they can make their voices heard. In the words of former President Obama, Mr. Scott agrees we cannot treat voting as an errand to run if we have some time. We have to treat it as the most important action we can take on behalf of democracy. Mr. Scott is happily married to his wife of 16 years, who is an Army veteran and nurse anesthesiast, serving South Florida hospitals in the face of COVID-19 pandemic threat. Welcome to our guests this evening, our own Supervisor of Elections, Mr. Joe Scott. Mr. Scott, take it away.
Thank you for that kind introduction, Ms. Ellison, and also to Tamara Lopez. Thank you so much for inviting me and having me be part of the panel tonight. I really appreciate it. I think I was invited out tonight mainly to talk about this terrible new voter suppression law that came and how it's going to impact us in future elections, and especially this critical election that we have coming up on November 2nd. I'll tell you, there were really three things about this bill that bug me a lot, that make me feel, that I took the time to make sure our office was addressing to try to mitigate the damage. And one was the impact to voter registration and how this new state law made it more difficult for organizations that go out as third-party organizations to register voters. It makes it more difficult for those people to do their jobs, to make the difference that they're trying to make out there in the community. What my office did was we actually created a new tool for organizations to use that allows people to register to vote. If they need to use a paper ballot, they can, not a paper ballot, but a paper registration form, they can actually send that registration form into us, and they don't need a stamp or an envelope. It's a self-sealing tool that allows them to both register to vote, update their information if that's what you need to do, or just request a vote by mail ballot if that's what you need to do. And this new tool also has a QR code on there that allows you to also do all the same things from your phone. So if you want to use your phone to basically to either register to vote, update your information, or request your vote by mail ballot, you can do all of that right from your phone. So we're trying to make vote by mail easier and trying to overcome the complexities and the difficulties that the new regulations that the state put in place are imposing on third-party organizations. So the second thing has to do with the way that we manage our drop boxes, which is probably the biggest impact we're seeing right now. We sent out 65,000 vote by mail ballots to voters in District 20. So if you, at this point, I can say, if you believe that you're on the vote by mail list, but you have not received your ballot yet, please go and check and double check, because you should have received it by now, especially for those of you who are actually living in Broward County, you should have received that ballot by now. And if you haven't, please go to browardvotes.gov and double check and make sure that your status is up to date, and let us know if you haven't received your ballot. But basically, the drop-offs, what we did in the past was that at our downtown location, downtown Fort Lauderdale at the Government Center, as well as at the Lauderhill Mall, we would put drop boxes, and we kept them available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, from the time we sent out those ballots until election day, until the polls closed on election day. And what that does is it allows people to come and drop it off on their own schedule. Many of us, we work odd hours. We might work long shifts, longer than normal shifts. And I wanted to make sure the drop box was available whatever hour you might be driving to or from work, that you can stop by and drop off that ballot. But what the new law basically did is that it made it so that we couldn't just have those drop boxes secured with video surveillance like we did in the past. We have to have a live body standing next to that box anytime it's open to the public. And they actually are imposing a $25,000 fine on the supervisors if there is a drop box that is not staffed. So what does that mean for me, being the careful person I am to make sure that we're always complying with the law? I need to have 2 people there. So if somebody needs to go to the restroom, somebody needs to step away for any kind of reason, there's a second person that's always going to be there. We always, anytime those drop boxes are open, we now have to have 2 employees standing at that drop box or sitting by the drop box, but they have to be present anytime the drop box is available. And what that just practically means is that what we have to do is we have to focus on figuring out the times that people are more likely to come through, and then make sure that we're serving the community at those times so that we're not wasting taxpayer dollars, but at the same time, we have to make those drop boxes available as we can. One thing that we're doing as an office to make drop boxes more available during those critical times is that we're opening a bunch of satellite offices. We've actually already opened 5 of the 6 satellite offices I plan to open. And what's going to happen with those satellite offices is that they're going to give us more locations that we can have drop boxes available for people to drop off during the critical time. So what do I consider the critical time? Primarily, I would say the last couple of weeks, like during the early voting time, when it gets to a point where people may not feel comfortable putting their ballot in the mail, we need to have that open as much as possible. So you'll still be able to go to any of the 22 early voting sites and drop off your ballots anytime that early voting is going on. But additionally, once early voting ends, when we're having a big election like the governor or the president, those big elections like that, after we're done with early voting, which is at 7 p.m. on Sunday is when early voting ends, and the polls close on 7 p.m. on Tuesday, that final 48 hours, we're going to keep all 8 of these drop box locations open, spread out, dispersed across the county for people to come and drop off their ballot any time of day that they need to, on their way to work, on their way home from work, anytime, 24 hours a day for this final 48-hour period leading up to the election. When it's too late to put your ballot in the mail and you want to make sure that you get it in, we're going to make sure there's going to be plenty of opportunities to do that. The final piece, the last thing I'm going to mention, and then I definitely want to open it up and see what questions you all have. But the final piece has to do with the fact that we have to re-register people to vote by mail. Some people have been voting by mail for years. And unfortunately, whereas if somebody's a regular vote by mail customer, you would think that we would just be allowed to continue sending them vote by mail ballots if that's the way they prefer to vote. But the law is restricting our ability to do that and basically saying that we have to wipe the slate clean every 2 years and start all over getting people signed up again to vote by mail. So after every major election, the next one being the gubernatorial election in 2022, but after each of those major general elections that happen every other year, we have to wipe the slate clean. And if you're a regular vote by mail voter, you'll have to go in and put in another vote by mail request, which will then be good for the next 2-year period. And we're trying to improve our communication. We've signed up for a new service called Ballot Tracks, which is going to allow us to communicate with people through phone calls, emails, and text messages that we can just get out to everybody all at the same time. Depending on how you prefer for us to communicate with you, you can go in and adjust your communication settings and tell us how you would prefer for us to communicate with you. But we're doing that, and that's actually going to help us get people signed up for the next iteration of vote by mail. For all the people who are vote by mail users, you're going to be auto-enrolled and be able to, and you'll start getting messages. If we have a cell phone number from you, you're going to start getting text messages from us. You'll have the option to opt out if you don't want to get them. If we have your email, we're going to send you emails. And if we don't have an email or a text number for you, we're going to send you a robocall, which we know everybody loves robocalls, right? But again, it's all about us trying to improve our communication and make sure voters know what's going on. If you want to opt out, you can always opt out, and we'll take you off the list. But really, we just want to make sure that we're giving everybody the best communication that we can, so that we can make sure that everybody is able to vote and participate in our elections. And from there, I think I'd just like to open it up and see what questions you all have, or what have you heard, and what are you concerned about, and what can I do? What can I do to help as your supervisor of elections?
For those who don't know, can you tell us what's coming up on the ballot for November 2nd?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this is probably one of the most important elections that that this community has had in a long time. We back in April, a long-serving Congressman Alcee Hastings passed away after a long battle with cancer, and he's actually been in Congress since 1992. Yeah, so I was 10 years old when Alcee Hastings became a congressman, and and I'll tell you that this. So I think what that goes to show is that this changing of the guard doesn't happen too often. So this is a big one for anybody who's sort of planning to sit this one out. Don't sit this one out. We need everybody to participate. We need everybody's voice so that we can make sure the right person wins this election. What I'll tell you, another thing that is really, really important for our community to understand is that this is a primary election. And the state of Florida has a rule that we are a closed primary state. So I'm actually very concerned that I'm going to start getting a whole lot of phone calls around November 2nd of people when they discover that they're not able to vote in this election, because you have to be registered as a Democrat or as a Republican in order to participate, because that's the elections that we're having. We're having a Democratic primary and we're having a Republican primary. And those elections are only open to people who are registered for those respective parties. If you're not registered, you will not get a ballot. You will not be able to vote. Now, the deadline to register or to update your information is on October 4th. So you still have a couple of weeks left that you can update and check your party registration, make sure you're registered with the party of the candidate you wish to support, and make sure that registration is updated by October 4th, because on October 5th, it will be too late and you will not be able to participate in this election.
Mr. Scott, one of the things that I encountered when I worked the polls was for nonpartisan trying to vote in the primary. Is there any way that we're at least advising them or letting them know that they have to be registered one way or the other? Because a lot of times they're not aware of it until they get to their polling place.
Yeah, I'll tell you, we're absolutely doing our best to get the word out, to do everything that we can, going on radio shows. We're putting ads out on all the social media. We're actually paying to boost these ads and to make sure that we're trying to get it in front of as many eyeballs as we can between now and October 4th. So, we're really, trying our best to get the word out. And I would ask everybody on this call, I see this, it's pretty well attended. So for everybody out there, make sure that your networks know that this is the case, and make sure all those people that that are out there who are, because especially in the Black community, a lot of people prefer to be non-affiliated and no party affiliation. It's a pretty big thing for Black folks here in Broward. It is. And I am concerned because this is such a huge election, and rest assured, the November 2nd election will be decisive. And if you're not participating in this November 2nd election, you're sitting this out and you're not lending your voice to who your new member of Congress will be.
And just to impress the time importance, that's 7 days away. October 4th is next Monday. We're already within that window, so we don't have time. October
Good point. I
4th.
think I said a couple of
Yeah.
weeks. I didn't even
Right.
realize it's
Right.
1 week.
It's
We got
1
1 week
week.
left. Yeah, let me update
Yeah.
everybody.
We've got 1 week, and one of those tools, which one of those tools that you mentioned would allow people to confirm whether or not they have properly registered with a particular party?
Sure. So go to our website, which is browardvotes.gov, and there's a button right there on the home page that allows you to check your voter status, and you can go in there and you log in with your first name, last name, date of birth, and you can see all your information and see if your vote by mail ballot is requested, see if you're affiliated with a party, and you can update that information. And you have a week, but I wouldn't wait. If you're not doing anything right now, you can pull out your phone and go to browardvotes.gov and update that information right now.
So you're saying we would have 1 week to change our mailing address, change my name if I got married, and pick a party or update a party, any of those things, just that 1 week. And I can do all of those things on your website.
Yes, browardvotes.gov. Absolutely. That's the place to go. And you can get all that done right from your phone anytime. It's a very mobile friendly website. And we're taking steps to make it even better. But it's very easy to navigate. And that's the way I would encourage people to get that done.
And only those living in District 20, correct? Because I think
Right.
one of the questions was if I don't live in the district, could I expect a ballot?
No. Yeah, no, you'll only receive a ballot. I mean, you can go in and put in your request for vote by mail right now, and it'll be good through the 2022 general election. And I encourage everybody to do that, especially in COVID times. Just vote from home. You can take your time. You sit at your kitchen table. You can, Google. You can talk to your friends about it. You can talk to, any loved ones or trusted people that you know about who you should vote for in each of the races. Voting from home is really the way to go. That's what I encourage, and I would encourage you to go ahead and sign up. Your request will be good through the next gubernatorial election. So you can go ahead and do it now.
Now, Mr. Scott, you also said some of the things that we've heard. One of the things that I've heard is that our signature needs to be updated. Is that something that is required now?
Well, so I'll tell you, for those of you who if you have a driver's license or a state ID that came from DHSMV, that signature that's on your driver's license or on your state ID, we have access to view that. So that's one of the signatures that we will use to match to your ballot when we receive your ballot. So if people aren't sure what their signature looks like, you can just look at your driver's license, see how it looks on there. We have that signature available to us. But additionally, if you would like to update your signature, and especially if you don't have a driver's license or a state ID, yes, that, I would encourage people to go ahead and do that. You can actually go to browardvotes.gov, and another place where you can actually print out a voter registration application. If you give us an updated application, we can pull, and you actually mail us the application. That's a way that we can pull your signature off of there. You can also do a written request for a vote by mail ballot, and we will actually take the signature from that signed request for a vote by mail ballot. If you actually send us a request on paper with a signature on that paper, we will capture that image and save it and use it to match to your envelope.
And what about people like me whose signature never matches? Each time I sign it, my signature looks completely different.
I will tell you, make sure that you're signed up for ballot tracks. Give us your cell phone number so that we can text you and call you, because that's what we'll be doing. If anybody's signature does not match and we need them to cure that ballot, we'll be reaching out immediately. As soon as we get that ballot, we'll be reaching out to give you an opportunity to fix those problems. And that's part of the new system that we have. This ballot tracks is about making sure that communication is better than it was before, basically by making it automated. These communications are going to be automated in the future, which means that we will be able to bug the bejesus out of you until you come and fix the problem that comes up.
Do you have to sign up for ballot tracks, or you're automatically in until you opt out?
So what I would say is I would encourage people to go in and sign up, because the key is that we have the right phone number, the right email address, specifically your cell phone number, so we can text you. and also the updated email address. So I would encourage people, and especially if you haven't already gotten a message from Ballot Tracks, please go to our website. There's a link on there specifically for you to sign up for Ballot Tracks and update your information on there and update your preferences and let us know, what you prefer, how you prefer for us to contact you, and how you prefer for us to communicate with you, and we'll follow your instructions.
Let me ask you, what's the time frame for those individuals who've there is an issue with their ballot, whatever that may be? I know that there was a big scramble the last several elections as to there's a limited amount of time you have to either sign your ballot that you've dropped off without signature, or there's a question about it. What's the time frame for that?
Yeah, so I would encourage everybody to fix it immediately as soon as you're contacted. But the deadline, the drop dead deadline for fixing those issues will be 48 hours after the polls close, which is 7, we usually election day is always on a Tuesday. Polls close at 7 p.m. So it's 7 p.m. on Thursday, or actually 5 p.m. on Thursday. So it's just under, it's 46 hours. But you have until 5 p.m. on Thursday to get those problems fixed. So, and I would heavily encourage people not to wait. Go ahead and fix it immediately once you know that there's a problem.
Excellent. Everyone, we have put in the chat both links, the Broward vote, so that you can check your status, and also the link directly for the Ballot Tracks registration. All right. There are a few questions that came through in the chat.
All right.
We have one asking about outreach efforts for high school students. How are we getting those that are eligible ready and registered to vote?
Well, that
Can you
I'll tell
answer
you that.
both for those in high school and not in high school?
Yes, absolutely. So specifically, because I'll also speak about, we're working pretty closely with Broward College as well. But we are revamping the way we do high school voter registration. And, this is the number one focus of our outreach team now. Since I became the supervisor of elections, the number one focus is high schools and getting in there and working with these kids. It is an extreme challenge with COVID-19 because of the fact that we cannot, we're very limited in our ability to sort of interface with the schools the way we did in the past. So we're doing everything we can. The new tool that we have is hopefully going to be very helpful, and it's getting a lot of kids registered to vote this year. It's actually, I'll tell you specifically for our community, the way that the system is set up, if you have a driver's license or a state ID, it's a lot easier for you to register to vote. So it's just funny when you think about that, like who's more likely not to have a driver's license as a teenager? People who probably don't have a car and ride public transportation. It's a lot harder for those people to register to vote. They have to do their voter registration on paper. But hopefully with this new tool that we have that allows them to then send in their voter registration don't need an envelope and you don't need a stamp. Just fill out the form, sign it, seal it up, drop it in the mail, get it back to us. And we're going to have these forms out. We actually just ordered 500,000 of these things, 500,000 of these packets. We're going to have them in every high school. We're going to get them into every high school civics class in front of every student when they're going through their high school civics classes. And but additionally through other government agencies as well, such as housing authorities, health department, any kind of government agency that we can go in, all the city halls across the county, everywhere that we can get in contact with people at those transition points when they're moving to a new location. We're going to make sure that those voter registration forms are visible and in front of them in those public places, everywhere that we can get them. And they're going to be very, very visible and prominent in the community here over the next few weeks.
Okay. Someone asked if they are a poll worker who's scheduled to work on election day, will they get their vote by mail ballot?
Yeah, you do have to sign up for a vote by mail ballot. I will say that's one of the things that changed because of SB 90. They specifically kind of tweaked the language on the law, whereas in the past, if you were a poll worker, we automatically sent you a vote by mail ballot, and that actually changed to where you do have to request a vote by mail ballot now. So that is a great question. I'm really glad somebody asked that. I think hopefully you were aware of that and you give me an opportunity to say that to anybody. If you're on this call and you are a poll worker, you do have to request your own vote by mail ballot. We're not allowed to automatically send it to you like we did in the past.
Wasn't there restrictions on or a statute change that actually preventing you from sending, or at least an attempt from automatically sending it to those active voters? The request for vote by mail ballots.
Yeah, so yeah, there's a lot of a lot of restrictions specifically around vote by mail. That was really what the point of this law was to make it more difficult for people to vote by mail. And it's just absolutely ridiculous and uncalled for, but that's the kind of thing that we're fighting against here.
Someone asked if you can state the locations. I think 6 or 8 locations where we'll be doing early voting, and what's the reasoning for choosing those locations?
So we picked the early voting sites that are in District 20. So there's actually 6 that we'll have. So the Lauderhill Mall, African American Research Library, the Tamarack Library, the Miramar Library, Broward South, the Broward College South Campus, the library that's on the campus there, which is the South Regional Library, is one of them. And then in Pompano Beach, the EPAT Larkin Center. So I'll run through them again. That's Lauderhill Mall, African American Research Library on Sistrunk, the Tamarack Library, the Miramar Library, the Broward College South Campus, South Regional Library, and the EPAT Larkin Center in Pompano Beach.
And what are the hours, Mr. Scott, for early voting?
It's 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. And it'll start on October 23rd and ends on October 31st. So it goes from a Saturday to the following Sunday, a total of 9 days, October 23rd through October 31st. And on those days, we'll actually have drop boxes available at our 2 office locations, downtown Fort Lauderdale and in Lauderhill Mall. The drop boxes will be available from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., basically starting the day of October 23rd through Election Day. Through 7 p.m. on Election Day, we'll have those drop boxes available 12 hours a day.
Speaking of outreach, there's another question in here, kind of on the other end of the spectrum. How are we getting the word out to our nursing homes and senior facilities about these changes to voting? Some of them have been used to automatically being enrolled in that vote by mail. So how are we making sure that they're aware of these changes?
Yeah, no, we're definitely, doing everything that we can to maintain that close communication. It's a big priority for us, and even partnering with the senior caucus from the Democratic Party is actually doing a lot of work and partnering with us and helping us with that communication as well. So I have to give them a shout out because they're helping us out quite a bit. But we're also, making our own efforts of, just calling and staying in contact, because a lot of those facilities we actually go in and do supervised voting at those facilities, so it's very important for us. We keep the lines of communication open and make sure that they understand what the new rules are.
And let me ask you, so when you have people living in assisted living facilities and they have their ballot, but don't necessarily, mailing is not something that they feel like they're able to do. And since there are restrictions on who can return and that sort of thing, what's the best route for someone who lives in one of those facilities to have their ballot returned if they're unable, or if it's too late to mail it back, to make sure that it is returned in time for the election?
Yeah, so I'd say the first piece of that is, the best way to do it is to go through the mail. And if you're using the facilities mail process, if you're using, all of these facilities have a system that they use every day to distribute mail. And the vote by mail ballot can be treated like any other piece of mail. So whatever the regular process is for distributing mail to the residents of these facilities, follow that same process with the vote by mail ballots, when you drop it off and when you pick it up. Okay. Now, once we kind of get outside of that window, really the best thing that we can do at that point is that we have those drop boxes available. We're really restricted. The law really restricts our options. But that's why we're opening these satellite offices, so that there are more locations around the county. And hopefully that makes it somewhat easier for people to drop off their ballots. But I will say the critical thing for the assisted living facilities is that you need to, or any of the, facilities with senior citizens, if you are not able to get to a drop box yourself, and you don't have a family member that can carry it over there for you, is to make sure you put it in the mail.
When should they expect to have that ballot by?
For the District 20, if you have already have a request in, you should already have your ballot. If you're putting a request in right now, you'll have it by the end of this week. Okay?
Now, Mr. Scott, I also heard that there, it's unlikely that you're able to have someone drop your ballot off for you. How does that work? If
Yep.
you're, let's say you're an elderly person or even just, your next door neighbor and you're going to the drop off and they ask you to drop theirs off, what's that procedure like?
So, okay, so I'll tell you what the law says.
Okay,
It says that basically you can have your own ballot, your immediate family members, +2. So it's yourself, your immediate family members, +2. So anybody who's going to drop off ballots, those are I think that's the sort of the guidelines that people need to be aware of in order to stay on the right side of the law.
and is there any verification process in that? Because I could say I'm the immediate family. I mean, you know what I'm talking about.
Our team is, our team has been trained to, to do everything they can to help the voters. We're going to have little stickers that we hand out when people come to drop off their ballots. We're going to give you a sticker and tell you, thank you for voting. Have a great day.
What is you mentioned the window to mail, because I know that I think something is happening at the post office again on October 1st, where they're going to change delivery of first class. I mean, it's going to be slowed down. So what would you say the very last day a voter should drop his or her ballot in the mail to ensure, to feel pretty sure that you're going to receive it?
This is my least favorite question. Because my answer is, what are you waiting for? Just put it in the mail now. Because what we don't want too many people waiting until the last minute. I actually have a lot of faith in our postal service. We have regular conversations with our liaisons there and learning about the changes and the updates and what's going on. And I'm sort of in the optimistic camp that I know these guys are going above and beyond to get those ballots to us. And generally speaking, within Broward County, it doesn't take more than a day for anything to get delivered. But of course, with elections, if we get slammed and 100,000 people drop a ballot in the mail that day, they're probably not going to reach us. So my answer to you is mail it now.
No later than.
Don't wait. But I really can't answer that question because it's an impossible question. Yeah, it really is. Like I said, if you're in Broward County, if you get that to the post office by say, with considering that elections are on Tuesday, I mean, if you get it in there by Friday or Saturday, there shouldn't be any problem with it getting to us, but there's no guarantees. So the best thing to do is to get it in as early as possible or take it and drop it in a drop box.
And so you've said you've spoken to the Postal Service many times. Is there, are there stop gaps in place, as sometimes they traditionally are, that if it's going to be dropped off at, say, the main post office on Oakland Park, will the staff there then gather those and then send them out to whatever processes they do, or are all of them going to go to Miami and then come back?
Right. So they are supposed to go towards the end of the process. Any of those last minute ballots that come in are supposed to go directly to the Fort Lauderdale facility, but we will have somebody stationed in Opelika on the evenings of every time there's an election. And this isn't anything new. It's been this way, but we will have a person stationed in Opelika. So if the ballots arrive in Opelika by 7 p.m., it's considered to be in our custody because we're going to be there to receive them. So as long as they reach the Opelika sorting facility by 7 p.m. on election day, we've got it, and we're going to bring it in and we're going to count it.
Someone asked, Mr. Scott, will Will you be using Greek letter organizations to help with voter registration?
We are, oh, voter registration, yes. I thought we were gonna ask about Adopt a Precinct. We
That's
can talk
next.
about that as well. No, I would absolutely love to. I'm an alpha and my fraternity has a program called Voteless Peoples, Hopeless People. And that was something that I was very active in before and still am. And I know that my fraternity is going to be playing a big role in the voter registration efforts. And I hope to partner with anybody who wants to partner with me. And whatever I can do to help, I'm more than happy to do so.
There's
Now let's talk about
another-
Adopt a Precinct.
There's
Yeah.
another question in the chat, which I know has been answered, but I don't think we can say this date enough times. The registration deadline to be eligible for November 2nd and to change your party affiliation, that is October 4th, correct? So that is 7 days away.
Yeah, October
I'm gonna,
4th.
I think I'm just gonna keep throwing that in there just in case
Yeah, why
anybody
not?
steps in late. 7 days, that's what you got, guys.
Yes, good call. Yes, you got 7 days. Please make sure that you are registered with the party of the candidate you want to support. So Adopt a Precinct. So this is something that I've been talking about probably since I was a candidate, and it is something I am determined to get off the ground. What Adopt a Precinct is it allows nonprofit, nonpartisan organizations to basically, it's a fundraiser, community outreach type of event for you that you will basically run a precinct for us. We provide all the training, the equipment. We make sure that the precinct location is ADA compliant. So we're going to let you know or give you an option of locations to pick from, but we're going to confirm that everything is in compliance. We're going to have all the equipment there. We're going to provide all the training. All we ask from the organizations is to provide the people to staff the organizations. You'll also be able to put up some signage to let people know that come to that polling place, that that the polling place is being run by your organization. And the best part is that at the end of the election, when the election is over, the check that we would have normally written, whatever we would have normally paid to run that election site, that check gets written and made out to the organization, and the organization gets it directly. Now, the reason this is being stalled is because there is an aspect to SB 90 that is making it a little bit more complicated. There's one of the things that changed in the law has to do with us not really being able to accept volunteers and accepting, private organizations doing things for us. The law is really crazy, guys. I don't know how I could be here all night telling you all the crazy stuff that's in this law, but
Voter suppression.
But that is one of the things, and we are trying to work through those challenges and find a way to continue on with this program. Orange County has a very robust Adopt a Precinct program. They do not plan on stopping it. They are going to continue, and we're going to look at their procedures and how they do things, and we're going to mimic the way they do it, and so that we can move forward with it as well. And that will be coming at some point in early 2022. We'll be rolling that out.
And when were the vote by mail ballots sent out? I think they've already dropped. Some people I've seen on social media that said they have those, but what were those dates?
The bulk of them that were requests were already in, went out Thursday. So that's what I was saying. If you're, for you, those of you who are if you're in Broward County and the ballot was sent to an address in Broward County, you should have received it by now. If you have not, you should have probably had it either Friday or Saturday, or certainly by this morning. So if you have not received it yet, please let us know so that we can look into it for you.
Just to confirm, question in the chat about the address for folks who want to change their party affiliation. That's the browardvotes.gov, correct? Is that where they would go to make any changes?
Yes. And I see this comment from Lockie Anderson. Please give us a call tomorrow so we can check that out, okay? During business hours tomorrow, give the office a call and we'll try to figure out what's going on.
Mr. Johnson asked a question. It seems like you've already mentioned working with and learning from other counties that have some great programs in place. He's commending you in your work and wants to know, are you sharing some of your efforts with other counties in Florida as well?
Absolutely. I'm I think you all know what it's like when you ever be new to a job, right? And everybody else who's been there for 20, 30 years is looking at you like, you young buck, you don't know nothing. So I'm kind of going through that a little bit right now. But I'm trying to make a difference and trying to share the best practices, but we'll see what happens. We'll see how things develop.
Let the record show that compliment came from Phi Beta Sigma. Okay, just so you know. Christine Thompson asks, will there be partisan poll watchers as we've heard at the polls?
Oh boy. Yeah, so another one of one of my favorite aspects of this new law is how they really empowered partisan poll watchers to people who didn't really need any permission to be more disruptive than they have already been in the past, to basically have a license to obstruct our operations now. And that's something that we'll be dealing with and that we'll be working through. I'm trying my best to engage with people that I expect to be problematic during election time, and hoping to build trust with everybody so that people don't feel the need to enter our facilities and cause a ruckus and cause problems, as we've seen in the past. But some of these folks are crazy, and there's not really anything that we can do to change that. But we're going to be transparent. We're going to be open. We're going to show everybody everything that's going on. And we're actually moving into a new building. Towards the end of 2023, we'll be moving into a new building. And this building was designed and built to run an election operation with perfect transparency. We're actually going to have a corridor that surrounds the ballot processing area with glass that'll be waist high. From the waist high up, you'll be able to see everything that's going on inside these rooms. And we're doing this intentionally. It'll be open to the public. People will be able to come in, and without obstructing what's going on, they'll be able to see everything that's happening. So we're going above and beyond to create the most transparency that we can, to try to neutralize some of these partisan elements that really they're not trying to be helpful. They're just trying to be disruptive. And we're prepared for them, and we're going to keep things moving smoothly.
You said that's in 2023 that you guys are getting that new house?
Yes. Okay. Yeah, the new building is just off of Commercial Boulevard. It's just west of I-95 and just south of Commercial Boulevard.
Okay. Tundra King says, my parents shared with me that unknown said parties are coming to people's homes and trying to collect their absentee ballots. Can we spread info to our seniors to be aware?
Absolutely. Yeah, if you feel like that's that's a problem, you can just let them know. I mean, it's up to them. I mean, you should only give your ballot to somebody that you trust. So it's not necessarily. I don't consider it to necessarily be a bad thing for anybody to to help their neighbors get their ballots turned in. Okay, so I don't consider that necessarily to be a bad thing unless the person is doing something wrong. But just because you want to pick up your neighbor's ballot and turn it in doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. Sounds like a helpful neighborly thing to do. But again, if you don't know the person and trust the person, you should not give them your ballot.
And so I received my ballot. I'm ready to vote. Can I vote today?
Yes, and you should. Vote today, and go ahead and drop them off. We actually had a lot of ballots get dropped off today. I don't know the exact number, but we had a decent number of people come and drop off their ballots today.
And where are the drop-off locations tomorrow? Where are they?
The Government Center. So that it's right at the corner of Brickell and Southeast 2nd Street. So it's in the Government Center, downtown Fort Lauderdale, but it's on that side, on the Brickell Avenue side of the building.
Okay. Only Brickell and not Lauderhill?
Oh, Lauderhill Mall, correct. Good, thanks for bringing that up. So the other is the Lauderhill Mall. If you drive around behind the Lauderhill Mall, that's where we will have a drop box is set up there as well.
Okay, so we must use the drop box. We don't walk it in or anything like that, just use the drop box.
You can. I mean, the drop box is there for convenience, so you don't have to walk inside. That's the whole reason we have the drop boxes out there, especially downtown. It's, the parking situation can be a little tricky. So the way we have it set up, you can just pull up to the curb, drop off your ballot and keep moving.
So, Mr. Scott, how will I know that my ballot is number one, received, and number two, when it's been counted?
Great question. So we do have that tracking. The tracking has been in place for a while, where you can actually go on our website and you can log in that same voter status button that's on browardvotes.gov, and you can see your status. But if you sign up for ballot tracks, and if we have your information to contact you, we are going to send push notifications. So hopefully a number of people, if you do have ballot tracks you should have received a text message from us last week when we sent the ballots out. We are actually going to send out a reminder message to remind people to go ahead and send their ballot back in. And then when we receive your ballot, you'll receive a message letting you know that you received your ballot, that it was, once we've received it and scanned it and verified the signature and everything, and we know that that ballot will be counted, we'll send you a notification to let you know that everything's good. And if everything's not good, we'll send you a message and let you know that as well and what you need to do to fix it.
And tell us again how to sign up for ballot tracks.
On our website, browardvotes.gov. You go to browardvotes.gov, you can sign up for ballot tracks. There's a link on the page to guide you into that.
Okay. So is there anything that you would, as far as outreach, because if I'm not on your, I like the video, by the way, very much so. And we shared it to our website and we're asking other people. So how does the average person who is not going to be on this forum, they're not going to go to church, but they're voters, and maybe they're, I don't know, the guys under the tree playing cards during the course of their, a lot of retired veterans just hanging out, you know, but they're registered voters, but they don't know yet there is an election. How do you have anything for outreach for the just general public? Or will there be signs up that says there's an election? Will there be any mailings, or what do we have for those people who are just not connected to one of our organizations?
Yes, we're doing everything we can. So I was on a radio show today. I think I'm going on one tomorrow, and I think I have a number of other media engagements set up to get out there and try to do any kind of mass broadcasting that we can to let people know. There's also 13 candidates who are running around putting up signs and letting everybody know to go vote on November 2nd. So, so hopefully with that number of people that are out there, this doesn't slip through the cracks. We know that that's traditionally what happens because people just don't tune into these special elections. But I'll tell you this, that we're doing everything that we can. We have a robust outreach program. And I know that the 13 candidates who are on the ballot are also doing their best to get the word out as well.
Is it only 13? I swear it seems like more, twice.
Yeah, I heard it was more too. That was going to be my next question.
So if someone asked what video, so if you talk a little bit about the video.
Sure, if you follow us on social media, go to at Broward Votes. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. So just follow us or subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you'll be able to get all our messages whenever we put anything out. And that's at Broward Votes is our handle on all the platforms.
But there is a video now that's out, I think maybe came up within the last 24, 48 hours, that talks about early voting. It talks about deadlines, you know, all the information that you would need in order to know. First of all, it tells you there is an election going on and when, and the information, a lot of what we've requested this afternoon. And so that's I thought that was a good piece. It's probably a good idea for us to spread it far and wide among our organizations and others as well, for us to know exactly what's going on.
And I mean, it's obviously a big part of our, our program is to, speak to you all and say, hey, you all are engaged, you all know what's going on. Let 5 or 6 of your friends and family members know, or 10 or 12 of them, whatever you can do, help us spread the word. And that's how we make sure we get everybody to participate.
And Mark Johnson has a good question. He's asking, can someone who is not a resident of District 20 drop off a ballot for someone who is?
Immediate family, your own +2. Yeah, so that's, I mean, that's what it is. So if the person is an immediate family member, you can drop off 2 additional ballots for people who aren't your immediate family members.
Was there ever a definition given as to what
Yes.
immediate family means?
Yeah, it's in the law. It lists particular relationships. I kind of steer away from that because honestly, I, hey, I have aunts and uncles and brothers and sisters who are not related to me by blood or marriage. So, you know, I would have a hard time with anybody trying to tell me who my family is and who isn't. And I can promise you that's not, you know, that's not our MO. We're not going to interrogate anybody and try to determine if you guys, you know, we're not going to take any DNA samples and and try to figure out exactly what the relationship is. Okay. But that's what the law requires, that it's an immediate family members whose ballot you're dropping off. And if not, you can drop off 2 others as well.
And
Right.
partnership opportunities. So we have, you know, all of these organizations who are certainly ready, willing, and able to assist. What is the best way and what kind of opportunities are available?
You know what? We can sign up. We're actually, for this election, we're in pretty good shape. We did have a slightly elevated number of people cancel on us because we're requiring everybody to be vaccinated. But in all honesty, the overwhelming response to that was positive because people like the idea that the people that are going to be at those polling places are all vaccinated. If you're working at a polling place, the other people you're working with will also be vaccinated. And you can trust as a voter when you show up there, the person who's handing you their ballot is vaccinated. So overwhelmingly, the community response has been positive, but we did have a higher number than normal of people who decided to cancel and not work this time, as opposed to getting the vaccine so they could. You know, but other than that, we are actually fully staffed. We've got everything we need in place for this upcoming election. The help that I need from you all, if you're not already on the team with us, is that I need you to help us get the word out. You know, share our information that we're putting out on social media, share it with your networks, and make sure everybody knows about this election and knows how important it is to participate, and that they need to update their party registration in a lot of cases in order to be able to participate.
Is there any printed material? There's usually printed material. I was by your office the other day and I didn't see a lot, but they said some was on the way. So what kind of printed materials that you would have for nonprofits who are organizations who are looking to just help you spread the word? You know, like there's no, you know, do you get fans? Do you have a pamphlet that said these are the dates and the locations, that sort of thing?
No, we have not created that. We've mostly been doing all the stuff online. But the flyers are created. So as far as us printing them out, I guess I have kind of steered away from that, but it's certainly something that we can do. If there's a demand for it, if there's organizations that want us to provide some flyers, you know, we can always print those out. And I'll just make sure that I spread the word in the office that if you were to come in and ask for something like that, just to go and, you know, print you off a couple hundred if that's what you want, and we'll give them to you.
All right, and something with the early voting, because, you know, we spent, you know, over a decade telling people there's 23 early voting sites and yada, yada, yada. So now this time there's 6, and where they are and who can vote. Something along that's going to be quick that we can, you know, distribute for those people who are not plugged in.
Yeah, no, trust me. So that is the challenge, right? Because I'll tell you, from my experience, nobody knows what the district numbers mean. Like, what district number do you live in? Nobody knows that. Some people might know, was Alcee Hastings your congressman? And most people are like, yes, okay, then you live in District 20, you know, and that's, you know, so it's like one thing, and you might notice where I started my video, I said just to Broward voters, because it's so hard to, you know, the districts are, you know, you guys have heard of gerrymandering, I'm sure, right?
Mm-hmm.
District 20 is like the textbook definition of gerrymandering. I mean, the bulk of the district is basically in the Everglades. And then they have these little forks that pop out to catch all the Black neighborhoods. So you got a little fork sticking out into Miramar. You got another little fork that comes into Fort Lauderdale and Pompano Beach. And then you got a little fork all the way up in West Palm Beach. It's the craziest looking district when you see it on the map. So who am I talking to? What do I, we just have to say Broward County, if Alcee Hastings was your congressman, you're part of this district. And that's another good reason to sign up for vote by mail, because if you sign up for vote by mail and you're in District 20, we're going to send you a ballot. And then you'll know for sure you're in District 20 because we sent you a ballot.
Okay. That is all that I see. I don't see any other questions. Madam President, help me out. Are there any other questions in the chat?
I haven't seen any. I think we definitely touched on all of them.
Okay. And with that, I will turn the program back over to you. I think next up will be for wrap up.
All right. Anything else though, before we wrap up that you wanted to add? I know I'm pretty sure you were extremely thorough, but I don't want to step in.
I appreciate the opportunity to come on and talk to everybody. It's great seeing you all. Hopefully next time we can do this in person. Thank you all for your engagement and for helping us out and making sure, we're able to get the word out, make sure the community knows to go vote. This election is critical. I can't say that enough. That's the main message tonight, is don't sleep on this one. This is an important role for our community. This is, the person who's going to be a key leader for us, and we need to pick the right one.
Thank you so much. And I'm just going to kind of recap in case some people were in and out. You might have missed anything. And really and truly, we're glad to see the engagement that we have here tonight. But we want to make sure that you're not being selfish with this information. We need you to pass the word on. We're asking, what is he doing to keep everyone informed? What are you doing to keep everyone informed? You have the information. We need you to help spread that word. Put it on your social media pages, create a group chat, send the text, whatever it is that you have to do, share that information. You have 7 days, okay, for you to make sure that you're good to go, that your party has been selected appropriately, because as he stated, this is a closed state. So you will not be able to participate if you are not registered accordingly with a party. So I wanted to recap on a couple of things we have coming up. This November 2nd is for the congressional seat replacement. This is for the primary for that. The final, of course, will be next year, but we do want to make sure that we are selecting our candidates for the final race next year. So we need everybody to be registered by October 4th, which is 7 days from now. I can't impress that enough. We got some new information about how the new voting law is affecting us. There's some restrictions, but Joe Scott has made some great work to make sure that no matter what, we'll be able to get that dropped off, and we'll have it manned as required, right? We're going to actually double up on that so that no matter what, we'll be covered at all times. So we appreciate that. We know that he's been working with the local post offices, so we don't have to worry about whether or not our vote is going to make it. We really want everybody to stay encouraged and not lose faith in vote by mail, because it has been so important for us in the past, and we want to continue to use that, especially during the pandemic. We need a safe option for everyone. However, if you've been voting by mail forever, you will not automatically be given a ballot, okay? So you have to go in and select. Don't say, I've been doing this all my life, my ballot always shows up. It will not, if you did not tell them to. It will not. That is what is most important for you to make sure that you check right now between today and October 4th. There's no reason for you not to do it tonight. If you're already on a mobile device, go ahead and check now at browardvotes.gov to ensure that you are signed up accordingly so that you can get your ballot to vote by mail. We need that to be actually selected. A couple of other things. I think those are really the main things that we want to focus on. To also sign up for ballot tracks, it's right there on the home page. It's tracks, TRAX. Okay, so if you're looking for that, and we did drop that in the chat for you guys so that you can keep an eye on where you are with your ballot. And we are looking forward to adopt a precinct. NCNW definitely will be interested in that. When that comes our way, I'm sure you'll be able to make it happen. And I'm sure NAACP is looking forward to how we can partner in the future as well. I'm so grateful for this partnership. So grateful for everyone that came on and for you making the time today, Mr. Scott, much appreciated. And we just need everybody, whatever organizations you're a part of or that you're not a part of, whether it's church or just your family members, we really need you to help pass this information along. That's what we need you to do. Think about how you can help out. And I hope everybody has a great evening. I think this was a lot of information in 1 hour. Go ahead, check your status, 7 days.
Thank you all. That was a wonderful recap. I couldn't say it better myself. All right. All right. Have a great evening, everybody.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Great job. Thank you, guys.
All right.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Appreciate it.